Perek Memhe, the 45th chapter of the book of Yeshayah. Yesterday, we mentioned finally that Mishicho, one of God's anointed, is Koresh, is Cyrus. Well, there are some opinions that say that it was perhaps an earlier Cyrus, not Cyrus the Great. It's hard to look at the chapter and look at the verses and the wording and to think that it's not referring to the King Cyrus, Cyrus the Great, who ruled Babylonia in the middle 550, who ruled Persia and then Babylonia as well. And we'll see why that is. Ko amar Adonai lemishicho lekoresh asher hechazakti vimino l'rad lefanav goyim umatnei melachim afateach liftoach lefanav delatayim u'she'arim lo yisageru. So this is what God said to Cyrus, the anointed one. Having grasped his right hand, tread down nations before him, ungirding the loins of kings, opening doors before him, and letting no gate stay shut. And really, this verse, the second phrase of the first description, Asher hechazakti vimino, I took Koresh by the hand, God says. That seems to be the greatest proof that this chapter is not dated to the Yeshayah of the 7th century, but to a later prophet, because that's the exact wording that's used, not in the Hebrew, in the Cyrus cylinder. It's found in the British Museum, where it talks about Marduk, not God, but Marduk taking the hand of Cyrus and sort of leading him to allow the Babylonians, he was the Persian king who defeated the Babylonians, to rebuild their temple. Ani lefanecha elech v'hadurim ayasher dlatot nechusha ashaber uvrichei varzel agadea. I will march before you, level the hills that rise up. I'll shatter the doors of bronze and cut down iron bars. V'natati lecha otzrot choshech umatmunei mistarim leman teda ki ani Adonai hakoreh b'shimcha Elohei Yisrael. I'll give you treasures concealed in dark and secret treasures, hoards, so that you may know that I am the eternal God, the God of Israel, who you call by name. Right. So Cyrus is the one who I'm taking, but Bnei Israel, you will gain as a result of that. He is my Mashiach, he is my anointed one, and you will gain from it. Laman, we're in verse 4, Pasuk Dad, Laman Avdi Yaakov Yisrael B'chiri, Ve'akra lecha b'shmecha, achancha velo yadatani. I do this for Yaakov and Yisrael. Of course, over the last number of chapters, we've had Bnei Israel referred to as both the children of Yaakov and Yisrael. I call you by name. I hail you by your title, though you may not know me. Right? I am calling you my Bechir, Am HaNivchar, the chosen people. You may not see it that way. You may not be educated. You may be in a different place. You were exiled. But that is what I will do. Ani Adonai v'ein od zulati. Ein Elohim a'azercha v'lo yidatani. Same phrase we basically had the last couple of days. I am God. There is none other than me. There's no other God. I will strengthen you, even though you do not know me. Why? Leman yedu mi mizrach shemesh umi ma'arava ki efes biladai ani Adonai v'ein od. Why am I doing this if you're not listening, if you don't know me, if you don't listen to what I say? I'm doing it so from east to west, doesn't say here, but from north to south. Everybody knows there is just one God in this world and that I control everything. And then in verse 7, Yotzer or uvore choshech, oseh shalom uvore ra, ani Adonai oseh chol ela. We may be familiar with the first 6 words here. We're davening daily, Yotzer uvore choshech, oseh shalom. Difference is uvore et hakol. The rabbis decided not to talk about God making darkness or making evil, but that God creates everything, which includes good and evil. And part of what's presumably going on here in a world in which many of the other people believed in a God of darkness and a God of light, Zoroastrian or some the different religions, Bnei Yisrael, the God of Israel, is supposed to be the God of everything, the God of light and darkness, the God of peace and the God of evil. I do all of that. There are no other gods. There is just me. And so, right, I'm going to make Koresh. He's going to be Mashiach. He's going to be the Mashiach for you guys. He's the anointed one who will give you permission. And I believe in the year 538, he does give permission, as is detailed in the book of Ezra, the permission that's given to the Jews to return back to Jerusalem and to rebuild the temple. Those who sort of ask the question, how could it be that God has a Koresh, Cyrus, to be his Mashiach? But remember, in the Tanakh, the word Mashiach, anointed one, is not the sort of, whether you see it as natural or supernatural, it's not the Mashiach ben David that we think about, during the time of the exile, the false Messiah that Shabtai Tzvi said he was, and the others who were false messiahs. This is just means in the Tanakh, right? David was Mashiach, David was anointed, Shlomo was anointed. It's unclear the king, right? Cyrus is going to be anointed because he defeats the Babylonians, then he's anointed as sort of the king over the world. He had the largest kingdom, as far as I know, up to that time. Continuing in verse 8, Pasuk Chet, Harifu shamayim mimal, Ushechakim yizlu tzedek, tiftach eretz v'yifru yesha utzedakah tatzmiach yachad ani Adonai bira'ativ. Pour down from the skies, let the heavens rain down, whether tzedek here means victory or righteousness, right? Justice will come down. But, right, God's goodness, Shefa, is coming down to the earth. The earth will open up and triumph will sprout. Vindication will spring up. I, God, have created, right? To basically think about talking to people who are exiled, people who are troubled. Hear God saying, you've seen the bad. Now you're going to see the good. You're going to come back. Hoy rovet yotzro cheres et charsei adama hayomer chomer litzro mataseu falcha ein yadayim lo. Shame on anyone who argues with their maker, with their creator. Right? Does the maker, does the clay say to the potter, what are you doing? Your work has no hands. You don't know what you're doing. Question is here, what does it mean that they're complaining? Is this referring to Bnei Yisrael? Who's it referring to? And one interesting way of looking at these verses is maybe some of the Jews were upset that the person who was giving them permission to go back and to rebuild the temple was this Gentile, this Cyrus. And they're doubting that this can be the case. Hoy omer la'av ma tolidu lisha ma techilin. Shame on anyone who says to their fathers, what have you done? Or to a woman, what are you bearing? Right? You're going to tell the son's going to tell his father, how could you have done this? That is like the Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel, saying to God, how could you do this? Ko amar Adonai kadosh Yisrael v'yotzro. So says God, the Holy of Israel. One of the descriptions we've had of God over the last number of chapters, Yotzro, and we talked about this in the last number of chapters as well, a lot of Borei, Yotzer, about the idea of God being the creator. Ha'otiot sha'aluni al banai v'al poel yadai titzavuni. Will you question me on the destiny of my children? Will you tell me what I'm supposed to do with my handiwork? Anochi asiti eretz v'adam alehavarati. I made the earth. I created humankind upon it. Ani yadai natu shamayim v'chol tzva'am tziveti. I stretched, my hand stretched out the heavens, and I, created all of the tzvot hashamayim here. That seems to be the sun, the moon, all the constellation. I'm the one who did that. All over the world. I empowered them. I created them. You're going to tell me I shouldn't have Cyrus be your redeemer? Shouldn't be the one who gives you permission? Anochi ha'irotihu b'tzedek v'chol d'rachav ayasher hu yivnei iri v'galuti yishaleach lo v'mchir v'lo v'shochad amar Adonai tzvaot. It was I who woken him for victory, for justice. And I was the one who made all the roads straight, that he will be Yashar, like Israel, same world, that he will rebuild my city. And my exiled people will go. They won't have to bribe him. They don't have to pay him extra money to go back to Jerusalem to rebuild my house. Now, when we'll get to the book of Ezra, or even Chagai, Zechariah, Malachi, we'll see it was not so simple. The way it's being described here, that it's going to be, an easy thing for Bnei Yisrael to go back and build the temple at the beginning of the Second Temple period, years 538. It takes about 16, 17 years for them to rebuild it. But God is saying that I have chosen him, and maybe it should have been a very steady, easy rebuilding, but, you need the people below Bnei Yisrael to decide to go along with it. Ko amar Adonai, Yegia Mitzrayim uschar kush usfaim anshe mida alayich ya'avoru v'lachi yu acharayich yelchu b'zikim ya'avoru. God says Egypt's wealth in Kush is probably, Egypt, Sudan, Ethiopia, and their long limbs will pass over you and be yours. Okay, they will bow low to you. Right? There's great empires now, but that's not what's going to happen. right? They are going to bow low and to reverently say to you, only among you is God. There's no other God at all. Well, these other nations are going to admit that there is only the God of Israel because of the spectacular nature of Bnei Israel coming back from the exile. You are a God who hides,
another one of those pills when you get
God of Israel, who brings victory to everyone.
Huh? Do I want another one?
Okay, continue. So, Boshu, the Gam Nichlomu. So, right, what are we going to do? Though Kulam Yachtav Halchu Bilma Chorshe Sirim. Those who again build idols. So in the last chapter, really a polemic against idols and those who build idols. And right, you take the wood, and half the wood you build an idol, and half the wood you create a fire to warm you and to cook meat. It's fake. It's ridiculous. So those who with the idols, they're shamed, they're disgraced. They will fall away together. Yisrael no Shabbat Adonai Tshuat Olamim lo tevoshu velo tikalmu ad olmei ad. But Israel has won triumph through God, triumph everlasting. Bnei Israel's is going to get a truly everlasting following from God, and will not be shamed or disgraced ever. Unfortunately, this verse didn't necessarily come true during the days from the time of Yeshayah. We've suffered much degradation. Kicho amar Adonai, borei hashamayim hu Elohim yoter haaretz v'osehu chonena, lo tohu v'ra'a lashevet yitzara, ani Adonai v'ein od. Because this is what God, the creator of the heavens, the fashioner of the earth, the one alone who created it, right? Lo tohu v'ra, I didn't create waste, but I formed it to be a place where people could live. I am the only one who did it. And again, here over and over again, we're seeing so many words of creation, bara, yatsar, tohu, going back to tohu babohu. Lo baseter dibarti b'mikom eretz hoshach, lo amarti l'zera Yaakov, tohu bakshuni. Ani Adonai dover tzedek, magid mesharim. I didn't speak secretly, right in darkness. I did not say to the descendants of Jacob, seek me out in the wasteland. God, I told you what's going to happen. I announced what's true. And this may be referring, it's kind of like the Yeshayah claim. It's right. These other Muhammad, nobody else saw Muhammad being given prophecy, or Joseph Smith finds these golden tablets, Bnei Yisrael. It is a mass prophecy given to all of Bnei Yisrael at Har Sinai. So it wasn't secret. I don't have hidden things. I spoke to all of Bnei Yisrael. That's why you should believe me. We're in verse 20. Pasuk Chav. Chabsu vavo hitnakshu yachtav plitei hagoyim lo yadu hanosim et eitz psalam umitpalim el lo yoshia. Gather together the remnants of nations. Right? You carry the wooden gods, the idols, and you pray to a God who cannot give success, cannot bring you, right? Cannot redeem you, cannot save you. Of course, those last words we know from Aleinu. Hagidu v'hagishu af yivatsu yachtav mi hishmi azot mikedem me'az yida halo ani Adonai v'ein od Elohim mibaladai el tzadik u'moshia ayin zulati. Right, again, God saying, you will know, you've seen it. The only one who can predict, who knows what's going to happen in the future is me. I'm the only truth. Pnu elai v'hivashu kolaf se'aretz ki ani el v'ein od. Right, turn to me. Enough with your idols, enough with the wood, enough with the stone. Turn to me, because I am the only one. I am the only truth. Bi nishpati yatsa mipitz dakav davar v'lo yashub ki li tichra kol berach tishava kol lashon. By myself I have sworn, from my mouth the truth has come. I've spoken the truth. And what I say will not, if I say something, it's going to happen. And eventually, everyone will bow down to me, will bend the knee, and every tongue will speak loyally to me. And of course, those words are also in Aleinu. Tichra kol berach tishava kol lashon. Ach b'Adonai li amar tzedakot va'oz, adav yavo v'yevoshu kol hanecharim bo. And they're going to say, only through God will we get justice, will we get righteousness, when we get strength. When people put their trust in God, then all their enemies will disappear. Kol zera Yisrael. It is through God, with God, that all of Bnei Yisrael will benefit, and it's not going to be in another way. And so here, interestingly, the way that one of the ways of understanding this chapter, right, like I said, is God says it's Cyrus, and maybe Bnei Yisrael say, no, it's not Cyrus. How could it be Cyrus? He's not one of us. How could he be the one to bring us back to Israel? It can't be that way. And God is telling them, I created the world. I made everything. I'm the one who people have to bow down to. You have to listen to me. I know the plan. I have a plan. If it's going to be Cyrus, it's going to be Cyrus. And you guys will benefit from it. Go back to Jerusalem, where you will once again have the temple, and you will be able to live not in exile, but you'll be able to live in harmony in your home, worshiping me correctly.